And let's get you details of the anti-terror operations by our forces in the valley, particularly because in the last few weeks, we've been seeing a series of targeted killings by terrorists. Forces have now gunned down 2 LET terrorists in an encounter in Shopian. One of these 2 terrorists, Jan Mohammed Loon, had actually killed banker Vijay Kumar in Kulgam on June 2nd. The footage of that killing had in fact shocked the entire nation when this terrorist had barged into Vijay Kumar's office, his bank in Kulgam, and shot him dead. Arms ammunition, including 1 AK-47 rifle and a pistol, were recovered from the spot of the encounter. Forces have cordoned off the area. The hunt is on to nab more Pakistan-sponsored terrorists. The second terrorist who's been neutralized has been identified as Tufail Ganai. Vijay Kumar, who worked at a bank in Kulgam, was brutally shot twice. This happened in the first week of June. He was a resident of Hanumangarh in Rajasthan and had joined his posting just a few days before he was targeted and killed for being a non-local. A total of 5 Lashkar terrorists have been killed in the valley in the last 24 hours because these terrorists particularly have been targeting non-locals in the valley. Ashraf Ani is joining us live this morning with more details on this. Ashraf, that CCTV footage of the terrorists barging into the office of Vijay Kumar, shooting him dead, shocked the entire nation. And our forces clearly have been given the directive to go after each of these terrorists who have been resorting to these kind of targeted killings in the valley.
Absolutely, Akshita. Basically, the security forces are succeeding in getting those all involved in those recent target killings. In fact, not only this Jan Mohammed Loon has been killed in today's encounter in the Shopian district of South Kashmir, who was responsible for the killing of Vijay Kumar, the banker in the Kulgam. But in fact, 2 days back, we have seen the killers of the Jammu and Kashmir cop Faisal Qadri and injuring his daughter. He was also eliminated in the Srinagar encounter. In fact, what breaking news we are just getting in, that another Lashkar militant who was responsible for the killing of the teacher from Jammu, Rajini, he is also trapped in the 3rd encounter during last 24 hours, which were carried out by the security forces in Kulgam. This is the breaking news what we are getting from the police sources. Yesterday, late evening, an encounter started in the Kulgam district. The militants trapped in that encounter managed to flee from that spot. The security forces intensified the coordinate search in the area throughout the night, and today morning, once again, contact has been established with that group of militants, believe it, from 2 to 3. Though the encounter and in fact the search operation is still going on, and what the police sources are confirming that one of those trapped militants is believed the killer of the Rajini, the teacher who was killed in the school premises before Vijay Kumar in Kulgam district. His killers are also trapped in another encounter in South Kashmir. So a series of encounters going on since last many days. In fact, during last 24 hours, the 3rd encounter underway in Kulgam, where the killers of Rajini, the teacher who was targeted killing in the Kulgam district, are trapped in that particular encounter. Okay. So we just spoke to the top police officials in Srinagar. They are saying that within hour they will be confirming whether the killer of the Rajini has been killed or he has been apprehended. The operation is still going on in that particular area.
This is a big update that Ashraf is also getting us. You know, even as we've been telling you about how the terrorist behind banker Vijay Kumar has been neutralized in Shopian, and encounters happening as we speak in Kulgam to nab the terrorist behind the killing of teacher Rajini. One more targeted killing that had rocked the valley in the last few weeks. And it's very clear right now that forces are going after these terrorists, Ashraf, who had in fact pulled off these targeted killings. Most of them seem to be from the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Any details about these terrorists who are who have been cornered currently in Kulgam?
Akshita, basically, when the series of this targeted killings started in the Kashmir Valley, and it has already shown the anger all across the country. There was too much pressure on the government that how they are not curbing the targeted killings in the Kashmir Valley. In fact, it resulted the migration of some of the Kashmiri Pandit employees from the Kashmir Valley. A high-level meeting was taken by the Home Minister himself. All the security heads of different security agencies, including intelligence agencies, were called in Delhi Home Ministry, and then a strategy was adopted where to curb this hybrid militancy, where the militants who were responsible for these targeted killings are newly recruited. In fact, they are not more than 1 month old militants in the Kashmir Valley. So that was a specific target by the security forces planned and in a strategy where these operations were carried out from Bandipora, Sopore, then in Srinagar, and finally now in the South Kashmir. This is a series of operations which had been launched by the security forces. But what you mentioned, that who were the responsible for these targeted killings, it was said on those particular days that this is a new trend of militant groups where hybrid terrorists are being used to conduct and to carry out these targeted killings. They have not any kind of past, they are not on intelligence radars, but during the scene of crime there was some clues with the security agencies. They have collected them and worked on them, and finally getting the successes in neutralizing those responsible for those targeted killings in the Kashmir Valley.
That's right. In the last 24 hours alone, we've seen several successful anti-terror, counter-terror operations by our forces. Thanks, Ashraf, for joining us this morning with all those details.